our White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks and ABC News senior Washington reporter David Muir for more on this. And Mary Alice, I mean, a lot to unpack here, but I'm going to start with this executive order on the affordability of IVF. We know that that was something that even his party was split on at one point. We'd seen some states, as he says, that he returned the decision back to the states on abortion. Some states went further and outlawed IVF treatments. And it drew a lot of attention. He's certainly kind of pivoted since then. And here you see this kind of return to populist politics, kind of trying to cement the accessibility and affordability for IVF.
You're exactly right. The politics shifting on this. He's been trying to be seen as a supporter of IVF. We don't know yet what the policy will be. I think it's important to note that this EO he signed really is asking for policy recommendations for agencies to look into ways they might be able to make IVF fertility treatments more affordable for Americans. We know thousands of American families pay thousands of dollars for fertility treatments. And it was about exactly a year ago that we had that ruling in Alabama, where an Alabama judge said that under Alabama's very conservative law, they didn't feel like that it seemed like an embryo, even one developed during an IVF process, should be treated with all the rights and dignity of an unborn child. And that ruling in Alabama, you remember, sort of set off a real cascade of policy changes where IVF providers and clinics were worried about whether they could continue to see patients and go through with treatments because they were worried about whether they could maintain and keep embryos under that law. Of course, Alabama sort of rejiggered their law. They moved swiftly. Republicans had to come out and say that they still wanted to support fertility treatments, that basically that ruling they thought went too far. And this now, a year later, I think is, like you said, the president trying to acknowledge the politics in this moment, that the Republican Party didn't want to be engaged or seen as engaging in limiting IVF. Though I think it is important to also remember that in this last year, we also had bills come up on Capitol Hill. Democrats brought bills that tried to cement and codify protections around IVF and fertility treatments, and many Republicans voted against those. There is an ideological split in the Republican Party about when life begins, when protection of life begins, what the law should look like around protecting embryos even outside a fetus. And so this will no doubt continue to be a discussion, especially if the White House pursues specific policies beyond just asking for policy recommendations to try to lower costs, Alex.
Yeah, certainly. And Devin, I want you to hop in here because the other thing that was brought up, and it wasn't part of these three items that the president signed, but he was asked about DOGE. And actually, even before he was asked about it, he came out today and praised the work that DOGE has done. He was asked about Elon's role with that organization, whether he was a figurehead or specifically actually like leading the organization. And I'll note that all this comes as there was just a ruling by a district judge on DOGE and its ability to continue on with these firings of federal employees, and also its access to data for a number of state department or for a number of departments.
Yeah, the legal barrage that is buffeting the Trump administration right now, Alex, specifically with respect to Elon Musk and what DOGE is doing to curtail the size of the federal government, hinges in large part on what type of position Elon Musk has. What type of authority does he have? And the White House has faced a lot of questions in the past 24 hours. President Trump answered a couple of those just now about what power Elon Musk is actually exerting behind the scenes. Why does that matter? Well, the Constitution, of course, requires Senate confirmation of cabinet secretaries and other officials who lead agencies and wield a lot of power. Elon Musk has not been confirmed, and so a lot of the legal battles that are playing out and will play out for the coming weeks and months really turn on this question. Who is Elon Musk behind the scenes? What authority does he have? Has he been properly installed? And today the president was leaning quite heavily into this idea that Elon Musk is just an employee. He's just an advisor. In other words, he doesn't have a lot of power in actuality. He doesn't have any authority. The administration said as much today in court records, but of course a number of plaintiffs from states to government employees who've been fired are asking the courts to take a close look at this. They allege that Elon Musk has a lot more power than we're led to believe he has, and that he should be struck down from his position, and all the changes that have come from Doge should be put on pause because he's illegally installed, Alex. So this is a central question. The president now calling Musk a patriot and reiterating in his view that Musk is simply an employee, or as he put it today, a consultant. Alex.
Yeah, and well, thank you for that, Devin. And just to reiterate, that federal judge in Washington denied an urgent request to block Elon Musk and Doge from firing employees or accessing sensitive records for half a dozen departments. That was something that we were told that judge would take about 24 hours to come to her decision. But even when she was reviewing this case at first, it seemed that she was inclined to deny this urgent request from at least 14 attorneys general. Mary Alice, I want to go back to you because there was one other thing that really kind of stood out to me. We're talking about, these talks that happened in Saudi Arabia between Russia and the U.S., Kyiv on the sidelines of these negotiations, but you heard the president asked about these talks today. He said that he was much more confident after these talks with Russia today. He also threw some cold water on President Zelensky of Ukraine, saying, noting his approval ratings, and also he compared Ukraine to Gaza and said that this war never should have started. And he appeared, at least in the way that he phrased it, to blame Ukraine for this.
Well, he definitely got very defensive when faced with criticism about why Ukraine wasn't invited to the negotiating table about a war that's taking place in Ukraine. It was very interesting to listen to the language, the rhetoric from the president. Like you said, he repeated this idea that Ukraine could have ended the war, could have ended the war. It should never have happened. Of course, from Ukraine's perspective, they've been defending their own territory. It was Russia that started the war by crossing their border into their sovereign territory. Russian tanks rolling across the border. We all remember those images, and Russia fighting to take Ukraine's territory. I think that the president's going to continue to face a lot of criticism, not only from Ukraine, but from traditional NATO and European allies about whether or not he's trying to negotiate an end to the war without Ukraine at the table. We've seen European leaders this week extremely nervous about this, holding their own emergency meeting in Paris. They're very worried that the United States is going to try to strong-arm Ukraine into accepting some kind of lopsided deal, or that they're going through this effort to establish more conversations with Russia, while Ukraine is saying they just won't accept a deal that they're not a part of, Alex.
All right, Mary Alice and Devin, thank you very much.